Hello, hello, and welcome back to another Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose. It's Cricket Daily, World Cup Daily, a special episode as we get things rolling on the 8th of February. And I tell you what, the World Cup's underway, and if that's the tone set of day one, well, strap yourself in because the smaller teams didn't just show up, they threw punches, and three different favourites spent some serious times on the ropes. We're going to hit all the big moments and stories in our recap for you. And we've got your day two previews as Afghanistan takes on New Zealand, England up against Nepal, and one of the hosts, Sri Lanka, get their tournament underway up against Ireland. The action just keeps on rolling. So make sure to stay up to date. You hit subscribe, and of course, so that you know when each and every episode drops, hit that bell icon down below. That'll give you notifications each time we drop an episode. Hit like on the video if you enjoy it and get involved in the comments. Let us know your thoughts, your takeaways, who's going to shape up well for day two. And if you want to keep up to date with those short snippets, you can check out our social media at The Chris Mack Show, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find us on all of them for all of your sports snippets. But let's get into it. Let's get this recap of day one rolling, and let's start with the tournament opener. Pakistan up against the Netherlands. Well, Pakistan, they tried to lose it, but they somehow survived it. It opened with a proper heart-stopper in Colombo. Pakistan 148 for 7 in the end, chasing 147, winning by 3 wickets. And as I said, the headline, Pakistan had it in the bag and then absolutely found a bizarre way to make it interesting. But the Netherlands, they were positive early in their batting innings. They flew out to 79 from their first 10, their best 10-over start ever against Pakistan. But the back end fell away badly. There was no wag to be had in the tail. From 127 for 4, they collapsed to 147 all out, losing 6 for 20. Pakistan's bowling tightened the screws, and once the Dutch top 5 were done, the finishing power just wasn't to be found. And then Pakistan, their chase, it was cruising before chaos. At 98 for 2 after 11, they were basically in third gear, gliding their way home without any pressure. A runner ball, wickets in hand, no dramas. And then the dramas arrived. Pakistan implodes between overs 12 and 19, 5 wickets and only 21 runs across those 7 overs. That's a full-blown stall. The Netherlands was superb in that middle phase. Van Meekeren's double wicket maiden felt like a turning point. Suddenly, Pakistan had a wall to climb in front of them, and we looked like we had our first upset in the offing in game one. And then Fahim Ashraf happens. He survived a drop catch, and it's the kind of moment that flips games and breaks hearts. He absolutely capitalised on his opportunity, and he rated 24 off the penultimate over, and Pakistan stumble their way home with 3 balls to spare, with Fahim's 29 finishing it off. Well, one thing this taught us is in World Cups, you don't just beat teams sometimes. Sometimes you need to survive moments, and Pakistan, to be fair, somehow survived theirs. The Netherlands will be very, very disappointed, but they did prove they belong, and they'll be looking for another scalp when it comes round to their future games in this group. Moving on to Calcutta for Game 2, and the West Indies defeated Scotland 182 for 5, beating Scotland's 147 by 35 runs. And this was a classic West Indies script. Different paces, a slow start, then someone brings the thunder, and then the bowlers find some flair. The West Indies were smothered early, only 33 from their power play on a sticky surface. But then coming in at number 3, Shimron Hetmeyer changed the mood completely. 64 off 36, and 44 of his runs coming in boundaries. He and Rovman Powell put on 81 from 37 deliveries. That's innings-winnings acceleration right there. Scotland, to their credit, gave themselves a look in the chase. Berrington and Tom Bruce stitched together 78 for the 4th wicket, and for a moment you thought, are we doing this again? Is it coming down to the wire? But then the Windies, their finishing act was brutal. Romario Shepherd 5 for 20, including a hat-trick and a ridiculous burst that saw him take 4 wickets in 5 balls to snuff out the candle that was the hopes of Scotland. It wasn't just closing a game, it was ripping the pages out of someone else's story. Well, one thing it does tell us is the West Indies, they can certainly win with different gears. They didn't need a perfect innings. They needed one batter to explode and one bowler to end it all. Job done. That said, they will face certainly some tougher challenges as the games move on. And finally, on day one, game 3, India defeating the USA. Again, not without its wobbles. India 161 for 9, defeated the USA 132 for 8 by 29 runs, a much closer margin than many would have predicted, especially at home for the Indians. But don't let the margin fool you. This had danger written all over it. The USA had India early at 46 for 4 and then 77 for 6. You could have easily forgotten that this was an associate nation taking on the powerhouse of the world cricket at home, the tournament favourites. It was a surface where the ball was gripping and timing wasn't necessarily a given. This was not a bat first and make 200 script everyone expected. But enter Sky, Surya Kumar Yadav, 84 of 49 not out. And the key detail, again, an early drop, and he made them pay big time. He takes 48 off his last 18 balls, including 21 off the final over, and drags India to that defendable score of 161 when they were staring down the barrel of a potentially sub-140 total. India's bowlers then stepped up and did what they do best. They made sure there was no fairy tale finish, turning the screws, tightening the pressure. Siraj took 3 for 29, Arshdeep 2 for 18, early strikes, and the USA were chasing the game from the jump. On tricky decks, it's not always about how you start. Sometimes it's about who can hold their nerve and who can finish at the death. And India certainly did that, leaning into their experience and top-level talent. So, how would you summarise day one in one sentence? It looks like the gap is shrinking. The associates are closing it up, and favourites can't treat group games like warm-ups. The Netherlands, Scotland and USA all showed some glimpses of different and varying elements and sizes. The big boys just did enough to slam them shut. Experience matters in the toughest of moments. Now, we head to day 2, and there's some very spicy matchups. Let's start with the early game, Afghanistan versus New Zealand. And I tell you what, there's some revenge on the line here. There's history in it. Afghanistan hammered New Zealand by 84 runs in the 2024 World Cup, and it basically launched Afghanistan's dream run and sent New Zealand packing early. Now they meet again, and it's a big one because Group D is loaded, and early momentum is going to be so crucial. New Zealand's storyline is fitness and stability. They've got injury and illness issues throughout their squad, and they're coming off a rough prep run in. But they've also got firepower, as they showed, despite going down to India in their warm-up series, if they can field something close to full strength. The big watch is Finn Allen. If he's fit, he can change a power play in an over or less. Afghanistan's angle is simpler: spin, spin, and more spin. They're built for these conditions, and they will fancy their chances. Rashid Khan looms large. He's 13 wickets away from 200 T20 international wickets, and on these surfaces, he's basically a problem you can't hide from and you can't evade. If New Zealand are smart, they'll play the game in phases, protect wickets, and make sure they don't let Khan dictate terms. If Afghanistan are smart, they'll squeeze in those middle overs until New Zealand starts swinging at ghosts and hitting and hoping. Next up, game number 2, England take on Nepal. England are rolling in the lead-up, but the associates don't fear them anymore. As we touched on before, that gap is closing. This is the first time these two sides have ever clashed, and England come in with a serious run. 10 wins in their last 11 completed matches, and they've found different ways to win lately. Their spin options are in good touch after Sri Lanka, and their batting has depth for days. Nepal, though, they're not tourists. They've got reps, they've got their own league development, they've had enough close calls at World Cups to believe. They'll know these conditions quite well. The subcontinent suits them. The big threat, Sandeep Lamashane. We've seen him in the Big Bash, proper leg spin, proper variations, and England have historically been gettable and had chinks in their armour when quality wrist spin bites into them. Keep an eye on the conditions. We've already seen at the Wankhede that they may not be a total belter. If it grips again, England are going to make sure they need to be methodical, not reckless, maybe put Bazball in the back pocket and just play standard T20 cricket. Last but not least, Sri Lanka and Ireland. Sri Lanka, could they be vulnerable at home here, the hosts? Ireland might just be sniffing an upset. This one has certainly extra interest for Aussie fans because this is the pool that Australia sits in. But Sri Lanka start their campaign as co-hosts. The mood will be cautious. Their recent form is shaky. They've had trouble turning home venues into fortresses in recent times. This is where Ireland's opportunity comes in. They know that qualifying through to the Super 8s is going to need at least one big scalp. And Sri Lanka are the most available right now for them if the pitch plays slow and spinners dominate. For Sri Lanka, the key, Pathum Nissanka at the top of the order. If he can start cleanly, they look like a different side, and all of a sudden they can go on to big numbers. Ireland's key is whether their senior guys can get them ahead of the game. Because if you're chasing on a dry premisada surface and the spinners get a grip, it starts to turn into a low-scoring, dour scrap. This one feels like it could be a proper arm wrestle, and if Ireland can hang around deep enough, pressure can do some funny things, especially with expectation as well as a home side for Sri Lanka in these World Cups. Well, that's day one done and dusted. Day two is absolutely locked in, and we can't wait. If the opening day taught us anything, it's this. Reputation doesn't win you group games. Execution does. The gap is closing. The associates are coming. But just for now, it looks like the bigger nations have the little bit more expertise and experience, but it won't play out that way in each and every fixture. Thank you for tuning in to World Cup Daily, our first for this World Cup. Make sure to hit like on the video. And if you want to stay up to date with your World Cup summaries and previews each and every day, hit subscribe and hit the bell down below. That'll give you those notifications each and every time we drop an episode. Make sure to get involved in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on day one action and who you think is going to get the chocolates in those 3 day 2 matches. And if you want to keep up to date with our short snippets on sport, make sure to follow our socials at The Chris Mack Show on all your social media platforms from TikTok to Twitter, Instagram to Facebook. We'll see you again soon on your home of the black and white of sport. No great opinions here.